mother had a.
I mean, I would have thought there would have been some common sense, like.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Oh, yeah. So I talked to the gal today.
I've got another idea on that as well.
Good evening, everyone. I'd ask that you would please rise as we welcome the Reverend Dr. Douglas Dent to give our invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please pray with me. Almighty God, give your love and justice to those who administer our city. Help them to govern with wisdom and compassion, so that the poor and the powerless will be treated fairly. Open their ears to the cries for help from those caught in cycles of poverty, abuse, or violence. Give them the wisdom to know how best to respond, and the courage to do the right thing, even when it may not be the popular thing. And under their guidance, great God, may our people flourish. May there be lasting peace and plenty for all. This we pray in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Doug. It's 5:30, March 7, 2022, and we'll call this meeting of Fergus Falls City Council to order. Roll call, please.
Fisher's absent. Hager.
Here.
Boney.
Here.
Rupert.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Ernest.
Here.
Gustafson.
Here.
Hicks.
Here.
We have a quorum. First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda, and it looks like it's a short agenda this evening. We'll call on our city administrator, Andrew Bremstedt, for any changes or modifications.
Thank you, Your Honor, council members. There are 3 items that we've been asked to remove from the consent agenda, so we'll add a little bit of length here, but item number 3s, item number 5, and item number 6 will be the 3 that we discuss individually.
Other than that, everything is the same.
Yes.
We would look for a motion to approve that agenda as
I'll offer
submitted.
that.
Thank you, Krista.
Second that.
Thank you, Brent. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Under public hearings, we have 1 public hearing, and we'll look for 2 resolutions this evening related to housing tax rebates at 1793 Shoreview Drive, and the second one with a physical address to be determined at a later point. We'll call on our Community Development Manager, Clara Breck. Good evening, Clara.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Thank you. This is harking back to our tax rebate program. We have 2 new applications for the program, which means 2 new houses that are going to be coming to Fergus Falls. One of them does not have an address listed yet, but I do have the map pulled up so you can kind of get an idea of where it's going to be. Where Ridgewood Drive sort of ends, that plot there is going to be where the house will be located. So it'll be a new development spot. And the other one will be located at 1793 Shoreview Drive, which is going to be spread out over several parcels. So right now it is 1, 2, 3 different lots, and it will be combined as one, but it already has the address given. So it will be 1 rebate technically over what appears now to be multiple parcels, but will in fact be 1 parcel. And as a reminder, they'll be getting a rebate of up to $5,000.
Thank you for that, Clara. And with that, we would open the public hearing for the housing tax rebates at 1793 Shoreview Drive, and second for the parcel 71002500004115. With that, the public hearing is opened. Anyone wishing to speak to that matter, please step to the lectern. See no one, we will close the public hearing, and it's back to the council. We'll be looking for a resolution first to approve the housing tax rebate for 1793 Shoreview Drive.
I'll offer that.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Brent. Thank you, Caroline. Any comments or discussion?
I'll vote no, as I normally do, but that's fine.
Roll call, please.
Predictable.
Yes.
Boney.
Yes.
Rupert.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Ernest.
Yes.
Gustafson.
Yes.
Hicks.
No.
That resolution is approved. Second would be a similar resolution approving the housing tax rebate for the parcel identified with address to be determined later, requested by Matt Muckow.
I'll offer that.
Thanks, Krista.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Tom. Roll call, please.
Paper.
Yes.
Fleming.
Yes.
Rupert.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Armisen.
Yes.
Gustafson.
Yes.
Hicks.
Nope.
That resolution is approved as well. There are no bids to award this evening. There are no petitions or communications that I'm aware of under the consent agenda. There's received in your packet as well as on the board. As Andrew mentioned, 3 of the 7 items are asked to be removed. Items 3, 5, and 6, leaving 4 items that we can approve by resolution. Someone would like to offer that resolution to approve the remaining 4?
Offer it.
Thanks.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Anthony. Roll call, please.
Paper.
Yes.
Fleming.
Yes.
Rupert.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Armisen.
Yes.
Gustafson.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
That resolution is approved. Item number 3 is a resolution authorizing the submission of a grant application by the city to the Lake Region Arts Council Spring Legacy Organization Grant Program in the support of the Grow, Empower, Thrive pedestrian path. And Caroline, did you,
Yep, I was asked to take that off because I'm working on it on behalf of Lake Region Healthcare, so I'm going to abstain.
Caroline's going to abstain. Thank you for that. So with that, would somebody like to offer that resolution authorizing the submission of that grant?
I'll make that, Your Honor.
Thank you, Anthony.
I'll second.
Thanks, Krista. Roll call, please.
Paper.
Yes.
Fleming.
Yes.
Rupert.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Armisen.
Yes.
Gustafson.
Abstain.
Hicks.
Yes.
The resolution is approved.
Say Ben on that one.
Yes, Scott.
The packet didn't indicate whether this is totally a grant or if there's a match or any city funds. And so if we could clarify that, I think it'd be good.
No match. No match. No match on that.
It's
So
entirely grant funded, right? Thanks.
Thanks for that question, Scott. Good question. All right, item number 5 is a resolution approving a variance for the proposed Lot 1, Block 1 in the Westridge 2nd Edition to create a lot not meeting the minimum setback and lot size requirement in the B6 zone for the Westridge Mall Limited Partnership. Anthony?
Yeah, obviously, a couple of questions was that, how, obviously this not meeting the minimum 50-foot setback, I mean, how does that actually impact kind of the world we live in? And then my second question was obviously, where are we at, obviously, with our good friends at Westridge Mall in terms of utility bills, and are we in good standing with them in general? I mean, we obviously, on one hand, it's good we keep breaking the lot up and we adding businesses, but it's still, we're doing him a favor again. So I want to make sure that he's holding his end of the bargain up.
Yeah, thanks, Anthony. Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, I would defer to Karen on the first one, and then I could answer the second one. So if I can do that real quick. As Councilmember Hicks mentioned, when these properties are split and they're sold or the closing happens, we have been made whole as it relates to utilities and any other outstanding fees, as well as property taxes on the parcel. So it's a good thing for us to have these closings so then we can become current, and that just happened probably about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, with the parcels related to the Dollar Tree and the future retail. So when this property goes through the same process, if there are any outstanding items at that point in time, they would be captured within that development agreement and by the county, and we would be made whole at that time. Now, the hope is that we don't fall behind, and we'll continue to have dialogue with the ownership of the mall to ensure that that doesn't happen. But if it does happen, we have some security in this. So we're in a good place today.
Is he actually making payment on a regular basis for the kind of like the garbage and things like that, or is it accruing?
I'd have to go back and look. I don't know off the top of my head. So I wouldn't want to speak one way or the other if I'm not crystal clear on it. So
Yeah. I mean,
it's something we can look up and let you know.
Because I mean, I think, it's great that we get these catch-ups, but I would like to see him make a regular payment. I mean, we request every other citizen in Fergus Falls to pay monthly.
Right.
So, it's not fair to the rest of the world that we live in when somebody can just keep doing this. And yes, it's great that we get caught up, but I would like to kind of like, obviously, maybe make a motion then that we don't approve this until we know where they're at. From my point of view, it would be good to know. I mean, as I say, I feel we're being very flexible. We've allowed a lot of positive things to happen, but I'd like to know that he is paying his bills on a regular basis and that we're not just doing this, this way, because at some point in time you'll run out of assets to sell. I know.
Thanks, Anthony.
I don't know if anybody else agrees or not, but
I think on the face of it, it sounds like a good idea. Is that entity being charged penalties and fees
Oh, yes.
and interest?
Yeah, and if there's ever times we're not caught up, it gets put on the taxes, but
yep.
you have to pay the taxes too. So it is good that we've been getting made whole, but
The most recent, the previous development included an agreement that allows the city access to turn off utilities, turn off water. That is in place. There's also a joint agreement between the common utilities. There's other people that fall under those utilities that they understand that the city retains its rights to shut off the water under its water shut-off policy. So we have more tools at our disposal now than we did before. So
right.
we would envision having something very similar, an agreement that basically makes it clear that if the utilities aren't paid, the city has the right to come in and shut utilities off.
so, and since we were made whole, it probably hasn't been long enough yet, if payments haven't been made, to shut off yet, but that would be coming soon then too.
But basically, you made a motion to table,
Yep.
and I don't know if it was
There
second.
was a second by Justin.
I did just so we could discuss
Okay.
it for purposes of.
And that's an
I
option.
think in part, I would like to see a regular payment rather than waiting for every time he sells something to make us whole. It's, as I say, I mean, we have 14,000 people that live in Fergus, and we expect them to pay their bills monthly. So, I think
100% agree with you.
I think we're only being fair to the people we represent.
But if he's paying taxes or penalties and interest on it, I'm not saying what he's doing is okay,
Yeah.
but if he's being penalized for it, then it is what it is.
So, question I would have is timing related to the approval of the plat, and how much time do we have before? Yeah.
Thank you, Your Honor.
No
The variance request has a different timeline for approval than the preliminary and final plat. So I believe next council is March 21st. Is that correct? So the variance, the last decision day is March 28th. So that variance request could still be accommodated with that tabling to the next meeting. And the preliminary and final plat would be May 27th. So obviously some more extended time for the plat.
Okay.
And I think in part that's it's great, but I think equally, if we continue, I want to accommodate the progress, but I also want to look after us as a community. And if every time they come and they want to slice off another piece of the Westridge Mall, and we have to go through the collection of what we're owed, it's not a good way to do business. It's not an appropriate way to do business. And so therefore, it seems like we're always the one that's giving, and that shouldn't be. I appreciate we charge fees for lateness, but again, it's not good for their reputation to be just somebody that always is late. And I'm not sure that that's fair to the other occupants of the Westridge Mall. We need to break this habit of always doing business this way, because when he has, sold the last piece of property, you know, that's going to be very complicated for us to kind of collect money, you know, because everything is still going to him. And granted, we have the right to shut off, but that's not, you know, you imagine the headline when we go to Westridge Mall and we shut off the cinema, we shut off, you know, Harbour Freight, we shut off, you know, Dunham's. It's not going to be a very good headline. So I think we have to break that habit with him.
And just so you understand that the agreement that is, it's an agreement amongst the common users, is they're all very well aware that the city has that right. They're all and any one of them can step in and stop that from happening. And it really turns it into kind of a real civil kind of a messiness between the joint users. But the city retains its ability to exercise whatever it feels it needs to exercise. So I agree. I mean, it's far better to just pay the bill and keep it current.
I have a question.
Yeah, go
So
ahead, Caroline.
beyond penalties and fines and having the ability to shut off the water, what else can we do? Like,
Well, I mean, we can then assess it against the property tax rolls, what we're owed, and not turn it on until we are paid.
so that's, I guess the question I'm asking is, like, that's already something that we can do. So what would be the point, I guess, in delaying unless there's something that we're going to try to do extra on top of it, I guess.
I think what Anthony, not to speak, but if we don't approve the plat, he can't move forward with the separation of the property.
I think there's some inconvenience for him.
Gotcha.
If we don't, he has to wait 2 weeks.
Okay.
But if he's paying his bill, then I've got no problem with it.
Right.
You know, the only thing I would, you know, at what point does he satisfy? I mean, is it 1 month on time? Is it 2 months on? At what point is he just going to go revert back to?
He may.
Just one more quick comment too is, I mean, and that's also a basis that you could deny exactly what you're saying. So I mean, it is a question that I think you're right to ask. And so, I mean, on anyone, I mean, that comes and asks for a variance or something along those lines, and you know, it's a very basic question if you're current on your obligations to the city.
So if I had a question
Bill's
then
checking on that.
There's a question on that, if Bill doesn't get back in time for the purpose of just time.
We can move
Instead
on
of-
to something as well. If you
Yeah.
well, Bill's still-
Well, or it sounds like we could not table, I mean, we have the motion obviously to vote on that, but for future, we could not table, but put a condition that this is approval pending current on utility bills and property taxes and such.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can do that too.
Yep. Okay. So we'll wait for Bill to get back. Did you want to address the 50-foot setback?
Sure.
Thank you.
I would say that since this is an existing building, that's just being subdivided for the purposes of, you know, having that separate ownership within that storefront, that, you know, to the general public, there's really no difference. We also, as part of the plat, not on the interior of the structure, but on the outside of the proposed lot lines, we have the standard easements for utilities and things like that. That would just be part of any normal plat process. So that would be my response.
So you're happy with it? Okay, thank you.
Okay. So we have this motion table up. Here comes Bill.
Not to
So
put
you
you
said
on
I
the
was going
spot.
to, huh?
Not to put you on the spot, but
Okay, now let's see
what's
what I'm
behind door
looking
number
at.
one?
You see how accommodating the city is?
Okay, so
Do you
I
wanna
went
look
up
at
to
that
run.
for me? You want to look at that, or do you want to talk on the fly?
We can
I'm
move on
just
to
gonna-
something and come back to it, Bill.
And then the other thing to consider is, like
It's pretty-
Justin said, maybe we, you know, with the understanding going forward, we're not going to, if there's any more late, we're not going to approve.
He's ready.
So it looks like what we were talking about, where the bills were made whole at that closing. We've just billed one time since then, so we sent a bill out the end of February, would be due by March 15th. That is the current balance outstanding. So on the two accounts that I ran, there may be one other, but I found these two. So it is the current bills outstanding due by March 15th, so.
So,
I can't believe I even found this information. Without help.
but would we need, Would there be a way to just, to let him know, let the property owner know that going forward, we expect him to be current on a monthly basis with his bills in order to,
Well, and you did say in the past to shut off now if they are delinquent. So we could have that as the instruction that
Yeah.
just affect,
Again, who
could
is-
affect other businesses.
but who's ultimately affected by that? It's not him.
Just him.
It's just the,
So at least they're current right now as we speak.
so if we approve this, could we have staff come back with some ideas or recommendations of ways to
I think actually, in fairness, what Councilman Arnson's saying is that, like, in the future, if they're not current, then that's, if they want another variance on the mall, then they have to be current.
Yeah, it's just another checkbox.
Yep.
Sure. Okay, so with that, someone like to
I could
Offer the motion.
amend my motion, because my motion was to table it, so I'll amend the motion to approve it and add that any future request for variance, they need to be current.
Okay, thank you, Anthony.
I'll second, then I got a question on that.
So we got a resolution approving the variance and a second. Go ahead, Justin.
Instead of future, my understanding is we could make that, our approval contingent on them being current with this motion. Is that your intention, or are you saying a future request?
They're current today. They are current today.
But by the time, okay, yeah, okay, I'm good with that.
Yes, Connor.
And just to clarify with the preliminary plat approval, one of those recommended conditions is that prior to recording, since as you say, there is time between when you recommend it for approval today and when we're actually ready to have the applicant take it to the county and record it. So as a condition of us releasing the plat to them with all of the signatures, they would be current on utility bills with the city and all accounts with the city, so including but not limited to utility bills.
Perfect. Okay, thanks. So any other questions? There's a resolution and a second to approve that variance. Roll call, please.
Hagberg,
Yes.
Kwame,
Yes.
Hooper,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Arneson.
Yes.
Gustafson.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
That resolution is approved, and secondly, we would need a resolution approving the preliminary final plat.
I'll offer that.
Thank you, Caroline.
I'll second.
Thanks, Krista. Roll call, please.
Hagberg,
Yes.
Kwame,
Yes.
Hooper,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Arneson.
Yes.
Gustafson.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
That resolution is also under ordinance and resolutions. Tonight we have a first reading of ordinance number 24, 8th series, which amends the chapter 154.002 of the city charter under definitions. Rolf, did you have anything to comment on that?
I don't have anything if, unless anyone else has it. This is the,
I have a question on it.
Yeah.
But I can offer the reading.
Okay, we introduce it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll introduce
And
it.
then, yeah, go ahead.
I just want a definition of lodging houses. What is the definition of a lodging house?
Karen?
Yeah, the lodging house, I don't think it's often used. I can pull up the definition if we like. I want to say that it was something with, I think 25 or more persons. I think it's one of those other sort of older,
Maybe you can have it for when it comes for a second reading.
Sure.
That's
Fair enough. Thanks, Anthony. Thank you, Karen. Item number 2 is a first reading of ordinance 25, 8th series, amending the city wards and precinct boundaries, which we discussed at our last committee of the whole meeting, I believe. Someone like to introduce that? Thank you, Your Honor. Tom? Item number 3 is a resolution authorizing staff to sign an agreement with the Commercial Refrigeration Systems to provide a trailer-mounted chiller to be used at the community arena to provide summer ice skating opportunities for the community.
I'll offer that.
And we'll call on,
Second.
we have a resolution and a second, and then we'll call on Guy Taylor to add some comments and some background to that. Good evening, Guy.
Good evening. Thank you, Your Honor, council members, sorry. The school, it was determined their chiller system is not adequate to chill their schools and to provide summer ice at our arena. So the solution is for the school to build a new chilling system to operate at Roosevelt and Kennedy, and then the city has the opportunity then to purchase the current chiller system from the school. To do that, they need time, and so we wouldn't have the chilling capacity at the arena for the summer for 2022. So we've got a lead on a temporary chiller, and the cost of that, we've talked about already, is going to be $21,000 to hook up and keep permanent pieces to that system that will be attached to the building. So it'll be piping, valves, and then the labor and equipment to install these permanent pieces to the chiller. So we're recommending a resolution to be passed to spend this
Improvements to the facility will be utilized with the new chiller. So these improvements are necessary, they're not temporary, they're permanent.
They are permanent, and they definitely could be used in the future if we need to have the permanent chiller shut down for maintenance. We could, again, use these valves and Ts and all this equipment.